The Hurons and Iroquois of North America believed that the only people in the world were the animals that live in and on water. Then down from the sky world a woman fell, a divine person. Two loons flying over the water happened to look up and see her falling. Quickly they placed themselves beneath her and joined their bodies to make a cushion for her to rest upon. Thus they saved her from drowning.
While they held her, they cried with a loud voice to the other animals, asking their help. Now the cry of the loon can be heard at a great distance over the water. And so the other creatures gathered quickly. As soon as Great Turtle learned the reason for the call, he stepped from the council. "Give her to me," he said to the loons. "Put her on my back. My back is broad." And so the loons were relieved of their burden. Then the council, discussing what they should do to save the life of the woman, decided that she must have earth to live on.
So Great Turtle sent the creatures one by one to dive to the bottom of the sea and bring up some earth. Beaver, muskrat, diver, and others made the attempt. Some remained below so long that when they rose they were dead. Great Turtle looked at the mouth of each one, but could find no trace of earth. At last Toad dived. After a long time he arose, almost dead from weariness. Searching Toad's mouth, Great Turtle found some earth. This he gave to the woman.
She took the earth and placed it carefully around the edge of Great Turtle's shell. There it became the beginning of dry land. On all sides the land grew larger and larger, until at last it formed a great country, one where trees and other plants could live and grow. All this country was born on the back of Great Turtle, and is yet today. Great Turtle still bears the earth on his back.
After a while, the woman gave birth to twins who had two very different dispositions. Even before they were born, they struggled and disputed. The mother heard one of them say that he was willing to be born in the usual manner. The other angrily refused to be born in that way. So he broke through his mother's side and killed her. She was buried in the earth, and from there her body grew the plants that the new earth needed for the people who were to be created. From her head grew the pumpkin vine, from her breasts the corn, and from her limbs the bean.
The twins were not men, but supernatural beings. They were to prepare the new earth to be the home of man. As they grew up, they showed their different dispositions in everything they did. Finding that they could not live together, each went his own way and took his portion of the earth. Their first act was to create animals of different kinds. Evil Brother, whose name means flint-like, created fierce and monstrous animals to terrify and destroy mankind. He created serpents, panthers, wolves, bears, all of enormous size, and huge mosquitoes that were as large as turkeys. And he made an immense toad that drank up all the fresh water that was on earth.
Good Brother at the same time was creating the harmless and useful animals, the dog, the deer, the elk, the buffalo, and many birds. Among them was the partridge. To the surprise of Good Brother, Partridge rose in the air and flew towards the country of Evil Brother. "Where are you going?" asked Good Brother. "I'm going to look for water," answered Partridge. "There is none here, and I have heard that there is some in the land of Flint."
Good Brother followed Partridge, and soon he reached the land of Evil Brother. There he was met by giant snakes, the fierce beasts, and the enormous insect his brother had created. Good Brother overcame them. He could not destroy them, but he made them smaller and less fierce, so that human beings would be able to master them. Then Good Brother came to the giant toad. He cut open the toad and let the water flow forth into the land. Thus rivers were formed.
Good Brother wanted each stream to have a twofold current, so that one side of the river would flow in one direction and the other side in the opposite direction. In this way, people can always float downstream, he explained. That would not be good for the people, said Evil Brother. They should have to work one way. So he made the rivers flow downstream only, and to make paddling a canoe harder and more dangerous, he created rapids and waterfalls and whirlpools in the rivers.
In a dream, Good Brother was warned by the spirit of his mother to be careful, lest Evil Brother destroy him by treachery. When the twin brothers saw that they would always disagree, they decided to have a duel. The one who was victorious would be the master of the world. They decided also that each of them should tell the other what weapon could destroy him.
"I can be destroyed," said Good Brother, "only if I am beaten to death by a bag of corn or beans." "I can be destroyed," said Evil Brother, "only if I am beaten to death with the antler of a deer or the horn of some other animal." They set off a frightening ground, and Evil Brother started the combat.
He struck his brother with a bag of corn or beans, chasing him over the fighting ground, and pounded him until he was nearly lifeless. His mother's spirit revived him, and he recovered his strength. Then good brother seized the deer's antlers, pursued his brother, and beat him until he killed the evil one.
After his death, evil brother appeared to his brother and said, I'm going to the far west. Hereafter all men will go to the west after death. And so, until the Christian missionaries came to our land, the spirits of dead Indians went to the far west and lived there.
The light one and the dark one looked down from their place in the sky and saw only water below. A gigantic goddess floated upon the waters, eating everything with her many mouths.
The two gods saw that whatever they created was eaten by this monster. They knew they must stop her, so they transformed themselves into two huge serpents and descended into the water. One of them grabbed the goddess by the arms, while the other grabbed her around the legs, and before she could resist, they pulled her until she broke apart.
Her head and shoulders became the earth, and the lower part of her body the sky. The other gods were angry at what the two had done, and decided, as compensation for her dismemberment, to allow her to provide the necessities for people to survive. So from her hair they created trees, grass, flowers, caves, fountains, and wells from her eyes, rivers from her mouth, hills and valleys from her nose, and the mountains from her shoulder.
Still, the goddess was often unhappy, and the people could hear her crying in the night. They knew she wept because of her thirst for human blood, and that she would not provide food from the soil until she drank. So the gift of human hearts is given to her. She who provides sustenance for human lives demands human lives for her own sustenance. So it has always been, so it will ever be.
In ancient time, Jaguar, the master of fire, ate his meat cooked, while people ate their meat raw. People scrambled to catch the animals that were their food. Jaguar, the great hunter, had bows and arrows.
Jaguar, with his flared nostrils and pointed teeth, was a powerful being, but he took pity on a poor hungry man he met in the jungle. He took the man back to his home, where a warm fire burned. The grilled meat had a delicious smell, so new to the man.
He ate hungrily. Jaguar was generous with his weapons too. He taught the man to hunt with bows and arrows. The man repaid Jaguar by killing his wife and stealing his fire.
Since then, the people have feared Jaguar's wrath, and the ferocious feline has lived alone in the jungle, wary of civilization, waiting for revenge.
The ancient Mayans believed that the god Hurricane, the mighty wind, a deity, passed over the universe, still wrapped in gloom. He called out earth, and the solid land appeared. Then the chief gods took counsel among themselves as to what should next be made. These were the mother and father gods. They agreed that animals should be created. This was accomplished, and they next turned their attention to framing of man.
They made a number of mannequins carved out of wood, but these were irreverent and angered the gods, who resolved to bring about their downfall. The hurricane, the heart of heaven, caused the waters to be swollen, and a mighty flood came upon the mannequins. Heavy rain descended upon them. 3 birds tore at their eyes, cut off their heads, devoured their flesh, and broke their bones and sinew, and ground them into powder.
Then all sorts of beings, great and small, abused the mannequins. The household utensils and domestic animals jeered at them and made game of them in their plight. The dogs and hens said, "Very badly have you treated us, and you have bitten us. Now we bite you in turn." The millstones said, "Very much we were tormented by you, and daily, daily, night and day, it was squeak, screech, screech, hoy, hoy."
Now you shall feel our strength, and we shall grind your flesh and make meal of your bodies. And the dogs growled at the unhappy images because they had not been fed, and tore them with their teeth. The cups and platters said, "Pain and misery you gave us, smoking our tops and sides, cooking us over the fire, burning and hurting us as if we had no feeling. Now it is your turn, and you shall burn." The unfortunate mannequins ran hither and thither in despair. They mounted upon the roofs of the houses, but the houses crumbled beneath their feet. They tried to climb to the tops of the trees, but the trees hurled them down. They were even repulsed by the caves, which closed before them. Thus the ill-starred race was finally destroyed and overthrown, and the only vestiges of them which remain are certain of their progeny, the little monkeys which dwell in the woods.
Oh,